The following newspaper article was in the Indianapolis Herald newspaper in January 1875. Published here with a few edits where names were left out, by Mark Sean Orr. Body snatching. How the business is managed at Indianapolis. 12 resurrectionists engaged in it. A reporter for the Indianapolis Herald recently fell in with a resurrectionist, or body snatcher, who relates the following story. Yes, I know it's a shameful business, but I have no longer any capacity for shame. This, holding up his glass, has done the business for me. It has made me what you see me. Once I was a reputable physician with a diploma from, let's just say, a very high-principled college, and a fair practice, and now I am a body snatcher, sneaking through the graveyards by night, and spending the proceeds of grave robbery in low-down thief kennels by day. You don't often see me here. Hunger for whiskey brought me here tonight, because I am more apt to sponge a drink or two among such tipplers as you than I would be among ruffians of my own sort. As I said, I have no shame, but I know how low it is. I know that a man capable of grave robbing for gain is cutthroat enough at heart to do murder if he were not too cowardly. Why don't I reform? That's a good joke. I look like it, don't I? I tell you, it's impossible. There's no retreat for me. The only road open to me is in front, and it ends in hell. Another drink! And a big one, to settle these grinning devils that have been dancing around me all night. And I will tell you all about the business. As the season is over and we'll just call him the doctor, has promised to buy me a ticket to Memphis, I don't care. How stiffs are raised. A resurrectionist's kit is not very expensive, sir. All he needs is a rope with a hook at one end, a short crowbar, and a spade and a pick. He generally has a pard, as it is easier to hunt in couples. He is notified of the plant, and by personal inspection makes himself familiar with all the surroundings before the attempt is made. The pick and spade remove the earth from the grave as far as the widest part of the coffin, and with the crowbar, the coffin is shattered, and the rope with the hook end fastened around the cadaver's neck when it is drawn out through the hole without disturbing the earth elsewhere. As soon as the cadaver is sacked, the earth replaced, and the grave made to look as near like it was as possible. There are some bunglers, however, who have been guilty of leaving the grave open, with fragments of the cadaver's clothing lying around. They are a disgrace to the profession, and have done much to foster an unfriendly public sentiment in this city. How a sale is negotiated. No, there's not as much difficulty in negotiating the sale of a stiff as you would imagine. The resurrectionist has no dealings with any member of the colleges. They are too smart for that. The janitor does the business. A wagon with 2 men in it drives up in front of a college. Maybe the streets are full of people, maybe not. It makes no difference anyway. The wagon barely stops a moment, and one man shoulders the sack containing the stiff and shoots into the college basement, and the wagon drives off. Police? The resurrectionist here shook like a mass of jelly with inward chuckles. Why, bless your simple soul. There is no more danger of being interrupted by the police than there is of me dying a sober man. The police on the college beats are friendly to science. They wouldn't, for $2 a stiff, make a row about it, you bet. So all the digger has to do is put a mask on his face and slip in to see the janitor, who is provided with funds and shells out without being too particular about identification. the number of resurrectionists. There are at least a dozen diggers engaged in anticipating the tooting of Gabriel's horn in this city. Some of them are working for other cities. There is a Mr. Smith, a tall man with long, dark hair, seedy clothes, and a sinister expression of countenance. He's a man of education and has respectable connections in the city. What brought him to it? What brings us all to it? Whiskey, of course. He works with Mr. Jones, a lanky, long-haired fellow with rebel-looking clothes, and long, light, lousy-looking hair, mustache, and goatee. Yes, it was him that was kicked out of the boarding house for talking stiff at the table. Then there is the brother of a well-known doctor, and a doctor out in the country, and others too tedious to mention. Some of the students, too, raise their own stiffs as a matter of economics. Material is getting costlier every year. The most fruitful fields. The most of the stiffs are raised at Green Lawn Cemetery, at the Mount Jackson Cemetery, and at the Poor Farm Cemetery. So far as I know, Crown Hill has never been troubled. Many of the village cemeteries in the neighboring counties are also visited, however, and made to contribute their quota to the cause of science. Some of these village cadavers are those of people who moved in the best society, and, besides their value in material for dissection, are rich in jewelry, laces, velvets, etc. The hair of a female subject is alone worth $25. Nothing is wasted, you may be sure. Even the ornaments on the coffin lids are used again. Smart Alex. There is a good joke on the Marion County Commissioners. You may remember that, on account of so many complaints against body snatchers, these smart Alecs had a vault built in which to deposit bodies and put a padlock on the door. You may believe the resurrectionist didn't stop long for a common padlock. It didn't take long to get an impression with a piece of wax, and any darn fool can make a key that will unlock a padlock. And the vault business saves a heap of hard digging. Many a stiff has been cut up in our colleges without having been buried at all. I know of one case where it came pretty near making a rumpus, and there was lively skirmishing for a time, I tell you. Further prospects. Superintendent Allred? Him? Why, he could not stop a worm. He is devoted to science, and if he wasn't, all we'd have to do would be to get him a bottle of rolling mill rotgut, and he would neither see nor hear. Do you suppose that there could have been so much resurrection in Greenlawn, right in the heart of the city almost, if somebody hadn't been fixed? I don't know. Do you? A mean trick. Now I'm going to tell you about what I call a mean trick. A stiff had been raised out of grounds supposed to be the peculiar property of one of the colleges, and sold to another. It wasn't much of a stiff, a poor, miserable, emaciated Negro that didn't weigh more than 90 pounds, but it made the faculty of the aforementioned high-principled college, and my alma mater, madder and hornets to think that a stiff out of their ground had been sold to a rival college. You know they hate each other like pizen anyhow. Well, Tuesday night of this week, they broke into the college vault and stole the stiff. And the next day, a professor of the rival college lectured over it. Go to the law about it? Not much. They know how to leave well enough alone. But they were not about it, you better believe. Going, are you? Well, good night. The chances are that we'll never meet again, and there's nothing doing here. And I want to get to a warmer climate. Good night, sir. Body Snatching was originally published in the Indianapolis Herald in 1875 and republished on the website Henry County Genealogical Services by Bud Bush in 2002. Body Snatching is now a short piece in the book Henry County Folklore, Hoosier Tales and Poetry by Mark Sean Orr, available at blurb.com.